April 6th, 2018. The Humboldt Broncos tossed their green and gold hockey bags onto the bus. Their main focus, a win against a team that had just beat them in triple OT. Kaleb Dahlgren sat where he always sat, 4 rows from the back of the bus, aisle seat, driver's side. There was nothing out of the ordinary about that bus ride until there was. An entire country left their sticks out in sympathy and support. Millions mourned the 16 who didn't make it. Dahlgren was among the 13 who survived, and this morning, he's sharing his story. Kaleb Dahlgren, good morning to you, and welcome back to Your Morning.
Thank you very much for having me on here. It's an honor to be on.
Yeah, it's an honor to talk with you again and to check in. First of all, congratulations on the book called Crossroads. What was the writing process like for you, putting yourself back into those moments?
Thank you so much for the congratulations. And yeah, it was difficult. I'm not gonna lie. It was really hard to get talking about tragedy in the first place is never easy. And then to have to relive it again was definitely difficult. And there's other situations in my life too that I had to go back and reflect on. And that wasn't easy either. And so writing the book was hard and it was emotionally challenging. But it was also super cathartic too, in a sense. I was able to find the connections I've made and to reflect on life and how many people have supported me throughout the life, and especially even after the crash too, how much our country really rallied together. It really meant the world to me. So I was able to kind of heal too, in a sense. So it was a healing journey for me, and it was emotionally charging and hard, but it was also super, super cathartic in that process too.
Yeah, you have lived out what it means to find power in vulnerability. You describe in the book where everyone was sitting on the bus. You always sat in row 12. And one of the photos you share, you can see the imprint of seat number 5C. We're sharing it with our viewers here. It's right there next to your eye. So what did you piece together about what happened to you?
Yeah, so for me, when I was sitting in the aisle seat, I'm assuming that as I was sitting down and we collided, because I remember everything like right up into the collision. And so as I was sitting down, we collided. I must have flew forward out of my seat up till row 5 and probably hit my head this side and actually fractured my skull. Got a puncture wound there. And I probably smacked my left side of my head where you see the 5C and then slid on the right side of my head and then degloved my head completely. So I think that was what happened. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I kind of put together the pieces.
You flew 7 rows before smashing your skull. You know, you've told us that you don't remember a lot about the crash, but the first responders certainly remember you. They told you, they found you, and I remember this story. On your hands and knees, trying to help out your teammates, covering them with coats. What else did they tell you about what you were doing after the crash?
Yeah, they said that part as well, and then they said asked me how I was doing, and I said, "Oh, my back and my neck hurts." And they're like, "Here, I get you a stretcher, stop moving." And I was like, "No, we gotta help the people." They said, "No, we're gonna get you a stretcher." So they brought out a stretcher for me, and they loaded me on. And as they took me to the ambulance, I said, "My name is Kaleb Dahlgren. I'm 20 years old. I'm a type 1 diabetic." And then they put me in there. I said, "Please take care of everyone else." And they sent me off to the hospital. And so it was super, super hard for my first responder to really even tell me the story. And I know he was really struggling with it, but he said he'll never forget me. And so it was hard for me to really talk to him about it and to get his side. And it was hard for me to hear it too, but I needed to hear it. It was part of my healing process for sure.
Piecing together that mystery of the time from when the crash happened to afterwards, what was that like for you, finding almost like being a detective?
Yeah, it kind of was, you put it that way. It kind of was being a detective, but my parents were able to reflect and recall on so many memories that they had, and I was able to get their perspective, and it just truly showed their character and strength too. And I'm so grateful to have them in my life and to have their support throughout this whole process. And so my mom and dad were at the scene really fast, actually, after it had been half an hour after or less. And they were there for me the whole time in the hospital. So they had first eye glimpse of me and of my personality. So they tell the story for the 4 days that I don't remember.
Yeah, just to update everybody, your mom and dad are both nurses, and they were at a nearby diner. They heard somebody else talking about the crash. They were on scene. And can we show that photo again? Because that photo of the crash was taken by your mom, who was there
Yes, yeah.
on scene. How are your parents doing now?
They're doing really good right now, honestly. They have healed throughout this process, too. I think we've all bonded as a family by writing this book because they were able to reflect on my younger life, too, where I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, about my dad being sick, and almost passing away, and then up to the crash too, and what they've experienced through that. And at the time, it was emotionally super hard for all of us to just talk about it and reflect and relive this moment again. But now looking back, we've all just came together as a family and became even closer than we were before, which I didn't believe was possible. So their strength really makes me a lucky person, and I admire it. Really, I look up to them.
They probably admire you just the same. You write a really beautiful tribute to each one of the 16 people who died in the crash, and you say you carry them with you on this tattoo on your arm. Can you walk us through it? I know it means a lot to you. It includes the Broadway Bridge, which holds a really special significance for you. This is a beautiful piece.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And so the stars are for the 16 who aren't here, who light shine down on earth on us in the dark times. And then we have 13 birds for the 13 survivors. And I really like the birds because there's not one leader in the bird pack. The birds always switch, and they always have one person at the front, and then everyone takes turns. And they're all going in different directions in the light. And so that signifies the survivors and how we're all still a team and still moving together, but we're all flying in our different directions. And then the Broadway Bridge was actually built in the Great Depression. And so that was to help other people. And that was actually where I was healing. And I didn't really realize it until I connected the dots afterward. But it was a really beautiful spot. Then we have ice on the on the river to just signify the bond we shared with the hockey stick and the puck. And then the skate marks for the game that we never played, and the scars etched onto my soul. And then lastly, we have some grassroots in the bottom left there. And that's just for all to pay homage to all the roots that we came from and different communities we grew up.
Kaleb, it's so great to catch up with you. I know that your future is bright. You've got York University on your pathway here. The book is called Crossroads. I want to thank you for sharing your story, sharing what you learned, and your vision for yourself and for your future. Good to talk to you, Kaleb.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.